Could unmute yourself and speak, please.
Good evening.
Hi, sir.
Good evening. We
All
are good.
right.
I'm good.
All
We're
right.
having a
All
great
right.
day.
Oh, that's nice. Hi, Alex.
Yeah, good evening. I was actually greeting everyone, so it seems like nobody was on the call. Uh,
Okay. Sorry about that. Hope you had a good day, sir.
yeah, I'm fine.
All
How about
right.
you?
Yeah, fine, sir. Fine, sir. Okay. Thank you for joining in. Thank you, love, sir. We're awaiting other people to come in. And all right, Suleiman, thank you for coming. I see you again today. How are you doing, sir?
Can you guys hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you now.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay, good evening. All right.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm doing fine. Waiting to hear from
Okay.
Mr. Alex.
All right. Thank you for coming in. So we'll just hang in for like I think 3 minutes. Let's. Oh my God! I didn't know that I was my mic was muted, and I've been. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I can't remember the last thing I said. Please, can anybody remind me of the last thing I said?
You just said,
Hi.
can anybody remember the last thing you said?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you are actually saying that we should wait for the next 3 minutes. That was before you went mute.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. I know 3 minutes has passed, but basically um I was trying to bring them up to speed with what we've been doing so far and about today's class. But two people have dropped off and we don't know. But if it's okay by you, if you want to start now, if it's okay by you, then I think we could start by 7:10. I was just trying to say before I went mute that we've done a lot in the past few weeks. It's been a long time coming, and I really appreciate the fact that we're showing up for the class. It's making a lot of sense, and I want to also thank you for coming through. You're really doing a great work. And tonight we're going to be learning on decentralized applications on Solana and a whole lot of other things. So, like, I mean, Alex is the one cooking the dinner tonight. He's the chef. So, you guys should bring your spoons, bring your plates, and, you know, let's get ready to eat from his table. Yeah, so basically, that's what I was saying. Bring your spoons, bring your plates, and we're going to learn tonight. So, yeah, um, let's give the floor to Alex to start if it's okay by him. Thank you.
All right. I think I'm good. So, but two persons or three persons on the call, is that not poor for us to start? Or can we wait more for people to join in? But
Okay, we
while we
can
are waiting,
wait.
so I don't really know how far you guys have gone, right? But with the much I've seen you guys have been having like sessions and sessions and sessions. A lot of classes have been going on. So more on how to start writing code on Rust. Although I know that even if you use one day, you can't teach everything, but at least it gives you guys a head start on how it looks like, right? And then we have I think I also saw one of the classes where Dev Tucci also came around and said one or two things to you guys on reward assets or so something like that. So basically, I guess you guys have actually been learning a lot, right? So that boils down to what we're going to be having today, which is decentralized application. So it's just me to start talking, but I don't know. Is that you guys? This is the number we have like normally on call, or is an oversight from some persons today? Kelsey, hello, can you guys hear me?
Hear you.
Good evening.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I was saying, is this the like normal number we have on calls like most times, or some persons that did not join today?
okay, most times we normally have let's say eight, 7 people, but some people have not actually joined, and I'm trying to remind them now. Although I sent the reminders earlier.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. So so down to what we're saying. So I'll be asking some questions before we start classes, right? So Suleiman and laughter. That's if I'm getting what I'm saying. So Suleiman, I want to know like since the whole course started, the whole classes started, like what have you actually learned so far? How do you expect to learn from today's class? So let it be more interactive while we wait for persons to join.
So basically, I actually joined yesterday. Um, started going through the past videos. So I'm literally a newcomer. I didn't see the class on time. I came across the class for yesterday. That was when I actually knew there was a boot camp like this going on. So I just joined yesterday. So I'm currently going through the past classes because they are recorded.
All right, that's fine. So laughter, Good evening. So, what will you be expecting in today's class too? So, I would like to know expectations and also know the programming language that you use, like let's say JavaScript, TypeScript, Rust, and all that. All right. I guess there are maybe you are not on the call. So I think we're enough to be called a quorum. So basically, let's start. So basically, today I'll be taking you guys on decentralized applications, right? So what is decentralized application? That would be like the first question that most of us, especially persons like Suleiman, will be asking, right? Or some of us that have not actually used it, of which I would say that most of us have used, but sometimes we don't really know. So DApps, as can say it in the short form, is basically an application, right, that is actually built on the blockchain. So when I'm saying on the blockchain, it means that some major stuff that would have occurred on like your normal Web 2 side of things were abstracted, and then those functionalities were actually given out or were actually yeah, given out to, let's say, custom functions on the blockchain. Stuffs like storing data, stuffs like writing programs to the blockchain and all that, right? So decentralized apps are mostly applications that actually help you. Like when you use them, you actually have your data with you, you have your information with you, right? Unlike centralized application where let's say I get to use this application and then they ask for my details. I said I want to sign in with my Google and all that, and then most of those information they keep it right on a server. Or let's say I play a game and then I have my in-game assets, and then most of those the in-game assets or whatever I've achieved are actually kept within the applications, of which if tomorrow I decide not to use it, or I decide to use another version of it, I can't have access to most of those applications. So one of the cool things about decentralized applications is that it actually gives you access to most of the assets that you actually have on those applications, right? Your information is yours, so the information of another person. So there are lots actually involved in decentralized. Sorry about that, involved in decentralized applications, right? Not just only Solana, in other blockchains too. There are also a lot that are involved in building these decentralized applications. So we have stuff like programs, right? So most of us we call it smart contract, but on Solana we call them programs. So we have stuff like custom programs, right? And we also have things like consuming those custom programs and implementing or integrating them into our own basic applications, right? So most of these things are what makes up these decentralized application. And then you won't be talking about most of these without the number one thing that you always have in every application, right? Your wallet address. That's basically your pass key or whatever you use to store these values, right? Let's say it's an in-game asset. Basically, where would those assets be stored? It won't be stored on your, let's say, email address or whatever. Most of this will be stored on an address that you provide or that you use in logging into the application. So we can call them those should be your digital passports we are using in the application. So, and that passport is basically your wallet address. So before we even start saying that, just like every other application, we actually make use of custom programming language, right? Most of these things. So we have our HTML, CSS, JavaScript. I don't know if there sorry, I think I'm talking fast. Is there anybody on this call that doesn't know anything about HTML, CSS, or JavaScript? All right. So I guess all of us know something about that. So basically, HTML is like a document where we is that we actually use to interact with one or two things on the internet, right? So it's basically static. So whatever you write to HTML, that's how it is. And while your CSS is more of what you use to like or beautify or make your HTML document look good, right? So one of the things you have to understand is that when you're using your HTML and CSS, it's just like typing or using your normal text file. So it's just like another kind of file. You have your HTML, you also have your like PDF, you have like you have XML, you have DOC and all that. So how you do your normal stylings on your document file. That's basically how you do your styling on your HTML file, right? So you start talking about classes, IDs, and all that, right? So that's when we now move straight down to JavaScript. So when we talk about JavaScript, it's more of what gives life to this HTML that we are talking about. What gives life to this static document or static file that we are talking about. So you can't be saying or you can't call a website to you can't say a website is interactive without these three things coming together. That is your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? So these three things must come together to say, oh yeah, I have an interactive website, I have an interactive um something that I've built, right? So basically that is it. So and then and then while I'm actually starting from scratch, like talking about this HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, is that most of these applications, unlike other blockchains that we've actually encountered, right? um, you see that Solana is actually built in a way that you can plug in like custom functions, custom methods, and play, right? So let's say you want to mint an NFT, you want to interact with a program, you can't be overkilling yourself or stressing yourself to um, say, okay, since it was written on Rust, I'm now going to start building like everything Rust. No, so sorry. So one sweet thing about Solana is that so when you want to interact with these programs, when you want to do most of the interaction, when you want to even build some custom stuffs, you just have to plug in and play most of this day-to-day code that you write, right? So how you have your normal functions, that's how you can call some of these basic functions on Solana too. So the only thing that you need is just your how you interact with your normal SDKs. That's basically how you interact with Solana SDKs. So you use Web3.js, Solana Web3.js SDKs to interact. So, but when you have the basic knowledge of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, that's like a step at the door, right? Of knowing what to do. So, why I'm saying this is that we call a lot of things decentralized applications, and it seems like it's rocket science, or it seems like it's one kind of application that you have to input a lot of things into to make it make sense. No, so far a lot of persons can use it and, and store most of the data that they have through interacting with that application. It's basically going to be a decentralized application. Why I'm saying this is that let's say I came to this, I have a website or an application that I built, right, used for minting NFTs. So if it should be on a centralized application, basically what it means is that if I should mint my NFTs, it will be saved and stored for me on a database, right? So that whenever I log into the application, they will tell me, oh yeah, you have this email address, this is your password, right? So these are the assets that you have on our platform. But now, if it's a decentralized application, the moment I say, okay, let me mint this NFT, I need to have this profile picture or whatever. Basically, those stuffs that I created, those details are saved directly to my wallet address, right? And then that my wallet address, whenever I want to interact with the application, let's say the application was down, a lot of things were cleared, and tomorrow they decide to spin up another application, those assets that I have, I still have them, right? This is just one of the many wonders of decentralized applications. So it's more of an internet of ownership, right? When you talk about Web3, and then decentralized application is what helps you, or what creates those things that makes you to earn those things that you are getting. So that is under it. So and then if you're talking about decentralized application too, yeah, it's not just as I said yesterday, you guys learned Rust. So Rust is mostly like, let's say, the server side of things, right? When you're talking about Solana, you're talking about programs. So don't forget, if I mistakenly say smart contracts, sorry, when I say programs, I basically mean smart contracts on other blockchains, right? On Ethereum, you call them smart contracts, but on Solana, you call them programs. So just take note of that. So basically, it's just like when you are building your front end application, you have the client side, you also have the server side, right? So the client side is basically the side that makes it the side where you interact with your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. While the server side is basically where you write those programs, right? So when you're interacting with those programs, it's just like the front end application interacting with the back end side of things. But the sweet thing about this is that those information, right, are stored basically right on the blockchain. So let's say when someone push his or her contract to the blockchain, you don't really need to start looking for how to interact with most of these programs. Basically, what you have to do is to just get the program ID, right? So when you get the program ID, you actually look at the IDL, and then when you look at the IDL, you now know how to interact with this program. So basically that's the way it works on Solana. So if assume is okay, we have okay, this we also come we have on-chain programs, right? And also have native programs. So when we talk about on-chain programs, that's in the sense of interacting with most of these programs that have been created. Don't forget that I said that programs are like smart contracts, right? So and then programs are more like the server side of things when you're talking about a complete decentralized application. So when you want to build a complete decentralized application, if you don't want to, how you are building your web application, you don't want to be interacting with public APIs. You know, I'm asking Christian. Can you guys hear me? Hello? Can you guys hear me?
I hear you.
So,
I can hear you. Yeah.
all right, all right. All right. So when you want to be, so when you're building your decentralized application, so we are going to be building it side by side with a centralized application. So when you want to build your decentralized app, unlike when you want to build your centralized app will require you to have your own personal server, right? Of that's your backend code who provides the API that you guys will use. But now on the decentralized side of things, it's be requiring you to have these on-chain programs where you have to that will help you to interact to do whatever you want to do, right? Let's say I'm building I'm building a Dapp that helps people to lend and borrow, right? And then there is this peculiar way I want to do my thing, right? It basically means that I will have to create my own on-chain program, just like Sir Charles taught you guys yesterday on how to build programs with Rust and all that. So you basically have to create that program, right? And when you create the program, you now have to interact with it, right? But then on the other side of things, if you're talking about centralized application, let's say you don't want to use your own backend code, but you are going to be using a lot of public APIs. Now, one of the disadvantages of using public APIs is number one, documentation. Right, most of these public APIs are not documented very. I'm sorry about that. So most of these public APIs are not documented well, right? So what does that mean? On the decentralized application side of things too, we have what we call public on-chain programs. So from system programs to down to your normal on-chain programs. Let's say we have Jupiter, we have Marinate Finance, we have all that, and then on your Web3, on your decentralized side of things, you have your weather app APIs, you have your banking APIs, you have your other APIs that you can interact with, right? So now, one of the disadvantages of these two side of things is proper documentation, right? So then how to get hold of this on the other side of things? If it's on the centralized side, you start looking for the documentation. But now if it's on the Solana side of things, right, you start looking for the word IDL. This is where IDL comes in. So what is an IDL? An IDL is basically an interface definition language, right? So let's say I want to interact with Jupiter to create a trading bot. I don't basically have my own automated market maker, or yeah, I can match, buy, and sell orders of persons. So basically, what I do is to I have to outsource this API. I can't be building it from scratch because it will be taking like months, so that people can't um let's say manipulate or kind of look for loopholes and then hack the application. So it's basically um good that you actually interact with these on-chain programs like Jupiter and Radium, right? So now, but I can't just pick up their what do you call it, their program ID and then start interacting. Basically, what I do is to just go and look for the idea, and then what when I talk about idea is basically going to um soul scan, and then when I go to soul scan, I look through, and I'll be like, yeah, this is how the idea works. Obviously, we are going to be doing the practical side of things, but you have to understand how these things work before you even start putting your hand on code. So I don't know for most of us, but it's good you understand the concept of so many things before you put down the first code you write, right? You actually think of how your application works, the flows, the whole charts and all that. So that's why I'm explaining all these things. So now we are going to be doing it side by side, Web three. I'm sorry, Web three and Web two. I say and as I said earlier on, you have to have your back end and you have to have your front end, right? So on the Web two side of things, let's say you're writing with Node, and then you are building with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So on the Web three side, you can be writing your programs with Rust, right? And deploying it to the Solana blockchain where you'll be interacting with the program's ID, and then you're also interacting with the Web3 SDKs, Solana Web3 SDKs, right? There you'll be interacting with the on-chain programs that you've actually pushed to production, either DevNet or mainnet. So on this other side of things, Web2, you'll be talking about test environment and production. Same thing here. We have mainnet and DevNet, right? And then one of the cool things is that for you to be interacting on DevNet, like the Solana token that you're going to be using is free, while on the other side is basically the same thing, is free and all that. But when you push to production, this is where the whole thing starts, right? On mainnet on Solana, you start talking about paying gas fees. Yeah. So yeah, you can test your code on DevNet. Yeah. Yeah, you can test your yeah, and also you can see them on Explorers. That's DevNet. You can write tests. So one of the reasons why you write tests is no matter any code you write, be it Web3 or Web2, you have to write tests. So why you write tests is to make sure that what you are building and what you say you did is actually what it is, right? So you don't just build without writing tests. But apart from writing tests, the whole DevNet of a thing is just like a test environment already, right? Where whatever you build, the behavior of the application on the DevNet is almost the same way it will be behaving on mainnet, right? So many things that will happen on that DevNet is the same thing that will be happening on mainnet. So that's basically the way it works. So yeah, as how you said, before you push your code, like just like Solidity, you have your okay. Then when you talk about test contract, no, that contract that you're using on DevNet, right, you can deploy it to mainnet. So that's the way it works. So, but back to what we are saying. Um, uh, you guys should give me a couple of minutes. I think I have to Yeah, hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Hello? Okay, sorry about the disconnection. My router battery died, so I had to plug in another one. So back to what we were saying. Can you guys remind me where I stopped so I can continue from there? Uh,
Saying something about the back end.
but I want to ask a question. The way I'm explaining it, is it complex so that I can simplify it more?
It's understandable to some extent.
All right, so I wouldn't I wouldn't want to make it that complex, so that when we start the implementation or whatever, everybody will be carried along because there will be a lot of jargons, and by then I might not have time to be explaining. So anywhere you have questions, just draw me back, and then I will try to keep you on track. So I was talking about back end and front end and all that. So basically, whenever you are hearing the back end side of building your decentralized applications, we are basically talking about the programs are running or doing most of the work behind the scenes, right? And then so when someone is saying I'm looking for a back end developer to help us or to join us build our application on a decentralized application we are doing. So basically, what the person is saying is that we're looking for somebody that will come and help us write contracts, right? For our product that we're actually going to be building, right? So when they are saying front end, it basically means the person that will be consuming or that will be interacting with those programs that have been written by the back end person to build a decentralized application. That's just applicable to the way we build our normal Web2 applications, where we talk about the front end guy who is writing his React, Vue, or Angular, and then the back end guy who is running Node and all that. So, but notwithstanding, you guys should also know that even while building your decentralized application, you can actually still make use of your server. It's just that if there are things that blockchain can solve more problems on, you abstract it to the blockchain. If there are things that are basically better solved with your normal Web2 technology, you still abstract it away and then give it to the normal Web2 technology. So I think that's by the way. So I was talking about how we integrate and make these whole things work as a component, right? As a complete sorry product, right? So when we build these programs on, I was talking about public APIs and your normal private APIs, right? So for the normal private APIs, when you're building your Web3 applications, basically on sorry, when you're building your Web2 applications, then on Web3 applications, that normal API or that normal public API that we're talking about is basically just like a company like Jupiter or a company like Marinade Finance um, giving out their on-chain programs, or we call it their program IDs for you to interact with, right? And say, okay, you can interact with our protocol with this ID, right? But the way you have to interact with it is by going through the IDL. And that IDL, as I told you guys before, is the interface definition language. That's basically the documentation. Although some go as far as writing a real documentation, but most times some of these products, they don't write their documentation. They just have this ideal, right, interface definition language where that looks like a JSON file, where you can basically see what each function does, what it entails, what you can do with this function, what you can do with that function, what not just not just a casual interaction, right? It not just shows you the function, it also shows you, because Solana is actually a a blockchain that runs on account model, right? Everything that you store, so far you're writing on the blockchain, or you're writing a program on Solana, you are basically going to be having an account that is going to be there to store those data. So basically, it tells you, this is the account, this is how to create the account, this is how to generate the PDF for this is how to do this is how to do that. That's basically what the idea will be doing for you. And then with that, I program ID, it now helps you now to link the application, and then you build what you want to build. So basically, that's on the public side of things, right? So, and then on the private side of things, you can write your own programs, right? So I was saying something about DevNet and mainnet. We also have what we call your test net or your local net. So the difference between these three is that on the local net, it's basically you running both the node, the server, and so blockchain works this way, right? You have those validating your transactions, whatever you are writing to the blockchain, someone somewhere is validating those stuffs, right? Making sure that is you're not actually putting in the wrong data, you're not actually putting in the wrong information on chain. Someone somewhere is actually doing that. Now, why I'm saying this is that I'm going to be differentiating between the local net, the dev net, and the main net. So on the local net, you can spin up your own Solana blockchain on your system, right? And then validate your transactions at the same time pushing transactions. So that's where you can issue yourself 10 SOL, 100 SOL, as much as you want, right? Because you are the one also validating those transactions yourself. Now that's where we'll move straight to DevNet. So DevNet is just, so I would say something like DevNet and mainnet are almost the same thing. So basically, on DevNet is just basically those different validators validating those transactions on mainnet are almost the same persons doing that, right? So basically, you can't actually play around some the way you play around on local net, the way you do that on DevNet, because whatever you do on DevNet, immediately you move on mainnet, right? It's just mirroring whatever you have done. Okay, so on the local net side of things, you build your application, you run whatever you want to run, and then you test out whatever you want to do. So that's when you now move to DevNet and say, okay, now I've done on local net and this is the way this thing works. Let me test out on DevNet. And then when you put out the program on DevNet, you build your stuff and then say, okay, this is fine. You can move to mainnet. Why? Well, this is Solana. A lot of us just we just build it on mainnet because it's very cheap. So, but I don't advise you if you are starting to just write your code and then push it to the mainnet. You have to test it out, right? Write your test, know whether this works, and then um, do what you have to do. So basically, when you want to write your own private programs that you want to interact with, that's where I know you guys. Sorry about that. I know you guys learned a lot about trust yesterday. So that's where Anchor comes in. So Anchor have this special SDK that they actually provide for people that want to interact with their own programs, right? In on the application. So they provide this SDK, use it to interact with those programs, and then you also generate your own ideal if you want other persons to also plug your application and play and use it. So that's all on the side of private APIs and public APIs. So when we talk about public APIs, we talk about the normal general on-chain programs that you can interact with. So when we talk about private APIs, you just talk about the normal on-chain programs that you can interact with, that you create yourself for your own application. So that's how the whole decentralized application stuff works. So that aside, I think we'll be talking about another thing. But before then, I don't know if you guys have any question. Hello? Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yeah, good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Hello? Yeah, good evening. I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. My name is Abraham, and much brought justice to discuss. But on my current status now, my voltage. according to life, I think I'm lost. I'm the most lost guy in this gathering. I'm very lost. And it's actually painful that I can't even compare with what you guys are doing here. To me, Sachima. Please. That is why I'm saying this. Thank you.
I can't hear anybody.
Um, I just heard Kelsey talk.
Let me text Alex. I think he's he's been wrong.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Um, I think this is the let me say the theory part of this class, right? Before we start the implementation.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now, but I don't think we heard the last thing you said after the question.
Oh, because I've been asking questions and body was answering. It was as if I was the only one on the call. I had to refresh my
Yeah.
browser. So, like the last question was, I think someone was saying that it was a lot taken, and then the last place or the last thing I heard was Abraham saying he has a question or stuff like that. So, Abraham, I don't know. You can still ask your question.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello. I don't know whether I'm the one that is not hearing
I
you
can't
or
hear him either. I can't hear him either. I don't know if it's a network problem.
Can you
okay.
hear me?
Yes, I can.
I kind of think maybe it's network from his end.
Okay, what I'm trying to say is that you've
Wow, network.
easy for me joining the class for the second time. So I'm actually lost. I'm in the bush. So I need somebody to clear me out of.
So, where are you lost? So we can know where we'll find you. Where are you in cabin? Abraham, can you guys hear me like in general, apart from Abraham? So that
Yeah, I can hear you now.
oh, yeah, that's fine. So we can't. All of
Okay.
us will not hear now.
I actually heard Abraham's question, right? He said he's lost, that he's actually not following. Like maybe everything is too complex for him to take in. So
Wow.
that was what he said, actually, yes.
So is there any other person that the whole thing I said was complex to? Because I tried like making it or bringing it down to the barest minimum.
Oh, sorry, I didn't quite get that concept of DevNet, mainnet, and testnet. You were saying something about DevNet being the same as mainnet. Like, I'm not really getting that part. And
Okay,
also,
yeah.
for the back end of a decentralized application, you were saying something about Rust and using Solana, yeah, Rust framework, which is Anchor and Solana. Please, can you say another thing on that? Like, rephrase on that. Sorry.
Okay, so I'll start from the local net, DevNet, and mainnet. So I was saying, I was just trying to give you guys the difference between local net and DevNet and mainnet. So local net, you can call it your normal test net, right? So now, as I said before, one of the major key players or something that makes yeah, one of the major things that make us to say this is a blockchain is decentralization, right? Your computer, my computer, Kelsey's computer, Abel's computer, Suleiman's computer, Seng's computer, all of us are actually verifying transactions in real time, right? Now, when I talk about local net, you are the one verifying your transactions and you're the one putting out transaction. So your computer is the one doing everything. So whatever you are doing, right, is basically from your end. That's why you can wake up one morning and airdrop yourself 700 SOL on DevNet, you can't do that. Why? Because it's not just only your computer that is verifying these transactions. Although that the transactions actually are not real, right? Right? Are not actually what people are using. Are not actually what we are going to use at the end of the day. But that's actually not how DevNet works. For local net, you have a total say on how your transaction goes. You can put out a transaction, you decide not to make use of it, cancel it out, and make use of another one. That's fine. So that's where we now go to DevNet. So DevNet, as I said, to have a complete blockchain, basically we have to have a lot of nodes running concurrently, verifying transactions and all that. And you know that there is no way we can just write our code, especially when it comes to sensitive codes, put them straight up to the mainnet. So when we talk about mainnet, is more of this is actually production stage, right? When you have your write your code and push it to production. That's basically what mainnet is here for. But devnet is just like this is how the production will look like, but we're not going to use it, right? It's just like your test environment. So basically there are a lot of computers also verifying transactions on DevNet. You can still airdrop yourself Soul, but those airdrops are just like maybe let's say two max you can do in a day. But on local net, you can airdrop yourself like a lot of Soul that you use for transaction in a day, right? So that's basically the way DevNet works. It's just a mirror of mainnet, but not the one that we actually use at the end of the day. It's just like let me test whether this thing will actually work on mainnet, but I have to test it out in this test environment, right? Then when it satisfies all terms and conditions, or when all terms and conditions are met, you can now move it over towards your mainnet where everybody can have access to it and consume it. So that's on the three side of things for that. Now we have so I was talking about Anchor and interaction with the front end that I just said now. You asked the question. So one of the sweet things about Anchor is that it abstracts a lot of codes for you and makes you just to fast track whatever you're building on Solana and push to production. What do I mean by that? You're writing your server side code as you're writing your programs on the blockchain, right? You have to start with a lot of instructions. You have to start with a lot of files where you structure your files and all that. But with Anchor, you just straight up move to production, right? Straight up move to writing business code. Let's say I want this my code to do this. This is the logic I want. Anchor abstracts all those file setups, all those instruction setups, and all that, and just leaves you with your business code. Just focus on your business code. And one of the sweet things about it is that why doing all these things, it actually creates a test environment for you. One, it actually creates an SDK where it gives an SDK that you can use to interact with those applications that you've built, right? So all these things are just things that will help you out in building your code and actually pushing it out to production very fast. So I don't know whether you understand this side of things I just did.
I get it. I get it.
All right.
Get it.
Uh,
Thank you.
all right. So I don't. I am actually trying to make sure that, because one of the things I've actually been having a lot of classes with so many of some persons, right? And one of the things I get to understand is that we don't just jump into writing code, because at the end of the day, people just open their eyes and they're like, "What is this? What am I even writing?" But immediately you get hold or grab the way this thing works, if we are sharing our screen, we're like, first, can I mute you? Because
Oh, it's cracking at your end. Something is making a cracking sound.
no, it's not from my end. I'm not. Let me close my.
Okay. It's wow. Yes, 3957. I think that's all right. All right.
Okay,
Sorry about that.
it's fine. It's fine. So basically, when we actually abstract all these things and get you to understand the way these things work, when we start writing code, you won't be asking what is this, what is that, because if I should start sharing my screen, the first thing we walk through now is how ideal works, right? And then by then you'd have known that, okay, why we are going through this IDL is that we don't want to build our own on-chain program, or we don't want to write our own smart contract. So we want to interact with this person's own, and then but we want to get to this, right? We want to understand how this works. Yeah. So secondly, then if we actually have our anchor program ready and then we want to interact with it, be like, oh yeah, we have our own backend. So we have written our own smart contracts that we want to interact with. So you get, so that's how you understand it. But if I start sharing my screen, I'm like, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. Trust me, if I'm in the same WhatsApp group with you, with you people, at the end of the day we'll only end up asking questions we don't understand. So I try to make sure that everybody is on the same pace of learning, and then we can continue. So I don't know if you guys have any other questions, so that we'll now talk about frameworks we can use to build or interact with these programs, and then how to build decentralized application on Solana, like the fastest way you can do that, and then um, all the things that are involved. All right. I think I'll have to share my screen. Um, coming. Okay, so let me just share my screen. Can you guys see my screen? Hello. All right. Um, coming. Yeah, guys, don't vex. Let me get an on-chain program we can interact with, right? So so we are going to be using, as I said before, this is mainnet, right? Mainnet beta. This is testnet. This is devnet. So this is custom RPC. So when you're talking about testnet, it's just basically like this. But the main test net is here that we can say, okay, we want to use this local host so that we are hosting from our system. So if you want your test net to be custom, so but we're using DevNet because that's where a lot of persons test out their products and all that. So let's check out this program ID. So before we start, this is program account, right? And this is the balance, whether it's executable, yes, it's executable. Executable data is this upgradable, yes. So one of the things I don't know whether they told you guys before now is that Solana programs, right? Uh um are built in a way that most times if it doesn't use if you don't freeze the account you're using creating it, you can upgrade the contract, right? Like it's not like sometime last year one of my friends got an airdrop, right? So the contract for the airdrop was actually done in a way that it only sends out, it doesn't receive. So basically what it means that if it receives, it can't send back whatever it has received. It only sends out how the let's say tokens that was sent that was stored in it, right? So any other one that comes in is just like a flow from whoever sends it, can't get it back. So now, if that kind of mistake, and then the guy, like, I don't know how he tried claiming, and at the end of the day, he sent back his token to the contract. So this happened on EVM. Now, it's just a short story to make you understand what I'm trying to say. So what happened? He tried reaching out to those in charge, and they were like, and was like, "Hey, I did this, I did that, I did this. Can I get back my token? Can you guys help me around?" And this was like almost $2,000 we're talking about. So they told him like there's nothing we can do. The contract actually can't be changed, right? If we actually try to tamper with it, the contract address will immediately change. But now one of the sweet things about Solana is that as you can see this, right? This is upgradable. Basically you can change the data that is stored in, you can change the way the contract work. For those that are hackers, this is basically the way they can hack your wallet, and you see, but when I tried signing this transaction, it did not tell me that to move anything. But when you've signed the transaction, you've signed the transaction, and there's nothing you can do about it. So that's one of the sweet and bad things about Solana. So let's go straight to the Anchor IDL we are talking about. So one of the things I was trying to say about IDL is that now there's no documentation for this on-chain program that we just opened up, right? But if we want to interact with this on-chain program, basically this is the way we do it. You go to the program idea. So when you go to the program idea, the name of this program, before we only knew it as this program ID here, right? But now when we come to the idea, we say, oh, this is WBA Vault. Wow. So this will now be like, okay, what are the instructions? What are the accounts? I say something about account, right? So when we talk about account, it's just like if you want to write data or store data on Solana, based on the Solana blockchain, you need to have accounts where you save those data. You need to have accounts where you store those information. It's just like your bank where you open an account, you have to pay rent one, pay rent to open an account, and two, you now store those data, right? So any day you decide to, let's say, take out those data and then you stop paying rent and all that, you can claim the rent that you've paid. And you paid those rent once, you don't pay any other rent when you want to store those data. So when you pay the rent and store the data and then the data is no longer in use, you can basically delete and claim your rent, right? But in real world, you can't claim back your rent when you pay your rent. So just try to use this to understand it. So now when we go to our Anchor IDL, we have our instructions, right? So we have 8 items here, basically seven. All programmers will count from zero. So from zero to seven, obviously, which is eight, right? So the first instruction is just like initializing the instruction, right? So basically, if there is something like a documentation. It tells us like, oh, if you want to initialize, this is how you do it, right? So if you want to initialize, you need to have this account ready. You need to have an owner account. You need to have a vault state account. You need to have a vault authority account. You need to have a vault account and a system program account. So one of the sweet things about system program account, I don't know whether you guys discussed it before now, right? So we have on-chain programs, and then we also have your normal. native programs. So on-chain programs are basically the programs that you yourself write or anybody can write to the blockchain, right? Now, these programs, as I said before, can be changed. These programs can be updated. These programs, like a lot of things can happen to it, right? But now, when you talk about native programs, as I said before, every program on Solana can is upgradable unless you delete maybe the sorry you freeze the authority that actually has access to all those features. So if you don't freeze them, it's basically upgradable. So the only time your native program gets to be sorry about that. The only time your native program gets to be updated is only when, let's say, you hear that most times we hear that okay, we sent in a new update on Solana on or a new feature. Let's say Solana version 1.1, it is the one that is out right now, right? So now there are a lot of updates that will be made on the native programs. So apart from then, I don't think there will be any other time you can make changes to those native programs. But on-chain programs are subject to changes, right? You can change a lot of things on your on-chain programs, but that doesn't mean that maybe if you have some mistake, you run and change it. No, I'm just trying to tell you that you can make changes to your programs that you've written, but that's by the way. So and then okay, what made me to say something about this is that one of the programs are on the native program is system program. And what is system program? Whenever you have to do anything that have to do with tokens, whenever you have to do anything that have to do with sending out Solana, receiving Solana, sending out tokens, you make use of your system program. So this is a vault and it has to make use of token. And when you want to initialize this account, you need this system program, right? So and then you need the vault and all that. So that's by the way for this. Um, if you want to make your deposit, so if you want to call a deposit function, right, these are the accounts that you need. You need your owner account, that's your wallet address, that's your key pair, your vault state, your vault and all that you've created at first. Don't forget that it has to make use of tokens. That's why you see this native program that is system program. So the argument, right? I say something like that. IDEA will also show you the arguments and all the things that you need, right? So the arguments that you see here are amount and it tells you the type, right? Most times we use TypeScript to write these programs. And then if you want to do that, you use your the amount should be on base 64. So you can see it here. So down to the next one. Deposit SPL as usual. If I come down here, basically we'll be seeing system programs, the arguments, you will see it here, and down to the last instruction that can be used, close account and all that. And default, this is the general account that will be created when you want to make use of this program ID. So basically, let's say I want to create a staking website or a staking decentralized application. I don't want to build my own smart contract. I can basically make use of this one because there's so many instructions here, right? I can initialize the staking account. If I want them to deposit normal Solana token, this is it. I can use this deposit function, right? If I want them to withdraw, I can use this withdraw function. If I want them to deposit SPO tokens, I use this instruction. If I want them to withdraw their SPO token, I use this instruction. If I want them to deposit NFTs, I use this instruction. And if I want them to withdraw their NFTs, I also use this instruction. If I want them to close the account, then we use this instruction. So basically, you can see that this is the way this works. And then this is the vault account. So I don't know if you guys understand the walkthrough on how IDEA works. Hello, can you guys hear me? All right. So it's not just about thumbs up. If you have issues with anywhere, just tell me so that I can walk you through it. So is there any issue from anybody's end so that we can continue? All right. So that is it on the ideal. So at least now, whenever you want to, maybe someone gives you a program idea and say, "Oh, I want you to interact with this program ID." The first thing you do is to go to the ideal. So most explorers don't really show you about the ideal and all that. But if you make use of this explorer, this Solana Explorer, explorer.solana.com, it shows you everything inside these ideals. Oh, sorry about that. Let me send you the link. So this is it. So what something else I'll be talking about is um the before we actually do some of that thing is the frameworks you can use to build your applications. So as much as I talked about your normal HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, most times what we use in building applications on Solana is React, right? So when we use React to build this application, it's actually like abstracting a lot of native programming away from us and then making us to concentrate fully and build from scratch and build from like somewhere meaningful. How Anchor actually helps you to set up a lot of things before you just start building. That's the same way you can use React, right? To build a lot of this. And then if you want to actually get ahead of every other person and jump straight to writing your program, there is this custom command that you actually run on your node or on your command line, sorry, that actually gives you this step ahead. So it just create for you a Solana template where the normal connect wallet and um the normal what do you call it, the normal connect wallet sign transactions and all that is right. So where you do that and then you jump straight to the normal coding and all that. I don't know. It's already 12 minutes after 10. After 8. All right. So, Kelsey, I don't know. Can we continue um or
Uh, well, I would have said you should ask the audience, and also based because we're looking at two things here. Your schedule, if we are to have another class, that's your availability, and we're also considering the attention span of people listening. So,
all right.
what you're thinking?
So, okay. For my availability, okay, let's do this. If you can be open to Sunday, you can just work through it. Let's say Sunday evening, and then finish up what we've started. Like we couldn't just jump straight to writing code, so I had to make sure that these basic stuffs are known to them before we can even write any code. So I don't know for you guys, are you guys comfortable with what I've said so far? If you have questions, you can ask. And what do you guys say about us continuing on Sunday? Because I think I actually have another call or meeting I have to be jumping in now. And if you have questions, you can ask. I can spare the next 10 minutes. Talk about your questions. And hello.
It's fine. Sunday is fine. There's no problem. And that will give us an avenue to even check out some stuff before the next class. Yeah, Sunday is fine for me.
All right. So okay. So any other question based on what we've learned so far? Okay. So I think I'm fine with it then. If you guys are fine with it. So Kelsey, I don't know if there's any other thing you want to say before I jump off. Cool.
Okay, there is actually nothing. Just a word of appreciation. Thank you for coming through. Really appreciate. So basically that's just it. So we hope to see you on Sunday by the grace of God, right?
Sure. Okay,
Mhm.
time on Sunday. Okay, let me see because I can't just tell you now.
Okay.
I'll just
Okay.
tell you now. I might be having something else clashing with it. So, but I'll communicate it with you and then we can. But it's basically be in the evening times as usual. So,
That's fine. That works.
all right. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Yeah. Appreciate.
Um, just 804 and laughter. I mean, last man standing. Well, thank you for still staying till now. So we're going to call a wrap for the night. And like Alex said, we continue on Sunday. Yeah. So you have more room to learn at least whatever that was confusing. You could hit him up, Alex Poof or Twitter. I just said Alex Favor, you see him. And you could talk to a couple of other devs in the community. And as well join the Super Team community. A lot is going on there. And yeah, so please, you could do yourself a favor by going to watch the previous videos we made, that was recorded rather, so that you can get yourself up to speed with what we've done so far. So once again, thank you very much for joining me, and see you in the next class. Take care.